get your support, your strong support for a program that will create, believe it or not, because this come out of Republican, shovel-ready jobs that can improve our state, put people to work, and improve our infrastructure. That's what we're looking for. And we need all of you. Very timely clap below the table. Anyway, so we have a lot of things going on. By the way, I want to tell you, when it comes to this great valuable asset that we have, we are very sensitive about the feelings and the emotions that are tied to it. And believe me, we've taken those feelings and those emotions into account. We don't want to run over anybody, and we don't want to put round pegs in square holes. But we're not going to let fear guide the future of our state. You know, one of the things I worry about is when we had an $8 billion hole, people were like, let's go fix it. Everybody knew we were in trouble. Jobs were leaving the state, the unemployment was rising, the deficit was, we have tripping over ourselves. And so the idea was, we have a crisis, let's go deal with it. That's an opportunity to do things. You know this in your own businesses. When your businesses are in trouble and there's a crisis, you accomplish more good things than you do when you're profitable. It's really interesting about human nature. But back to those most successful companies. How many iPhones and how many iPads has Apple put out? You know the big question in my mind about Apple? Can they continue to come up with the brilliant innovations into the future? Because if they don't, their stock gets punished and the company loses the luster. It's so interesting the way that it works in human nature and the way it works in a free enterprise system. It doesn't work at all in a government-run system. I mean, these other countries can't get out of their own way, they're bureaucratic, and just look at some of the problems, not just in those countries that have traditionally been leaning towards government control, but even when you begin to take a look at countries that are very free, that get stuck in their own way and stuck in their own culture. We must continue to innovate in our state. And what I worry about, though, is it's easy to kind of just rest now. You know? I don't need to do much. We don't need to do much. We're structurally balanced. We're running surpluses. Why don't we just rest? In fact, maybe, you know, in some ways it's just better just to kind of punt. But we can't afford to do that. We have a K through 12 initiative that's coming up. Frankly, it's really pre-K to 12 that's coming up, the way in which we fund our schools. And in my opinion, it is extremely important that we should not determine the education statistics based on zip code. If a kid lives in one zip code, they should have the resources necessary to compete with the kid in every other zip code in the state. Just because you come from a poor area doesn't mean that we don't have an obligation to make sure that we fund the school in such a way that you have the same kind of opportunity as somebody that comes from the richest district in the state. And it's going to require changes. And our schools require innovation. And we've done a lot, by the way, so far. You know, we've been able to put into effect teacher evaluation, not as a punishment. Nobody wants to punish a teacher. In fact, they're some of the most important people in our society. But what we want to make sure is